Hello.
Hello,
Hey, Cornelius.
that's me.
So this is Family Electric Ghost. We're the podcast where we interview all types of different creative people, and we're glad to have you on the program.
Appreciate it.
So you sent us your bio. So you're a native of Alabama.
Correct.
You're in Harvest, Alabama right now.
Harvest where I live, Huntsville is where I work. So they're about 20 minutes away from each other.
That's Rocket City.
That's it.
So you've been married for 12 years to your wife Jennifer.
Correct.
You have two girls, Victoria and Gabrielle.
I'm house full of women, bro. So
Yeah, I've got one daughter myself, and then I've got my wife and a cat, so I'm kind of outnumbered.
ooh wee. Got you.
So you're a foodie. You've got a YouTube and Instagram cooking show you
Correct.
call RecipeJoes, right?
Yes, that's the name of it.
So how long have you been doing the YouTube show?
I've been doing since the inception of the thing. It's been 2 years, but it's really been starting up this year where I've really gone delving deeper into getting it and turning into a full-fledged business. So I'm in the process right now of getting it turned into an LLC and using it along with some other business owners to try to start something here in North Alabama with the food community.
That's awesome. So how did you get interested in actually, taking what you're doing as a foodie and bringing it onto the net? What made you feel like you wanted to do that?
Mainly because I remember seeing so many times I've been watching cooking shows since I was little.
Mm-hmm.
So I would always watch and critique all the time. And I remember one day I was at work and I work at a TV station here locally, and Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives was on.
Mm-hmm.
And we was talking about how good the food looks. And I looked at it and I was like, I could do his job. Seriously. And they're like, yeah, you probably could. And that was really start the gears in my head turning of, you know what? Why not me? So I might throw my head to the arena and go for it. So that's basically what I'm working towards. And as I've been going towards this goal, I've been meeting so many different contacts who love the idea or willing to help. So I'm just going to keep walking this thing forward and see where it goes.
So do you do everything like in a studio or your home? Or how do you do the show?
I do the show out of my house.
Mm-hmm.
So literally turn my kitchen into a studio. Put in a backsplash, got some lights. My camera, literally my phone, my iPhone 11, and arm and all that good stuff, and just started building things piece by piece until I got something to where I feel like I can do a show from start to finish and be happy with the product. From that point, it's just a matter of icing on the cake of learning more, getting better at my photography, my cinematography, things of that nature, to where as I'm going to get more and more professional, then I can take that to businesses and be like, look, I can do this for you too. Let's talk. So that's sort of my pitch for the whole thing.
And you are working with national brands, Buzzy Wax and Snap Pack.
Correct.
And some local brands in your local area, right?
Yes, local brands in my area. A lot of food trucks, like I Love Bacon, is a local one here. Literally, their truck is about bacon, like from bacon ice cream to truffle. This like truffle bacon fries thing they got going on. I mean, it's just incredible. It's so good. But things of that nature. Well, I really try to get in there and get with smaller businesses that might not have, a gigantic budget for marketing. But if your food's good, it speaks for you. I'm just trying to get myself out there to be able to show, hey, this person is here. Let's pay attention to them too, because they got really good food. Because you don't necessarily have to be a gigantic chain for your food to be good. Mm-hmm. I would go so far as to say the local stuff, mom and pops thing, have some of the best food out there. So it's definitely something to look out for.
So when you put together your show, is it about you preparing the food or presenting the food from some of these companies or businesses?
Mainly, well, pretty much both. Initially, what I'm doing is sharing recipes that I like. I go on Pinterest and go sort of food diving for recipes, cooking for my family because I'm the main cook at my house.
Mm-hmm.
So I go there looking for different recipes, and I look more of a spin on trying to find recipes that are good, but at the same time, sometimes that are quick.
Mm-hmm.
And this leads me to segue into sort of what I say on my Instagram account of helping working moms and people like that who want to get a really good meal out. But sometimes you don't have time to make a pasta dish where you're making your own marinara sauce from scratch. I don't have
Oh, yeah.
time for all that. Tell me if I can get me some pasta sauce, get some pasta, and I have some chicken. Can I put this thing together and make something that's good? That's my wheelhouse.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a hack to do a hack that actually tastes good.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, because I see on your Instagram, so you help busy moms and self-made cooks by showing them how to create good food. So
Exactly.
that's your pitch, and is that you have the keywords of amazing food, passion, and discovery. So that's cool. I mean, I think that's really interesting that that you're doing this because I usually interview musicians and artists and people who are actors and things, but I've been branching out into other creative forms and YouTube and the cooking channel and all these different networks. That what you're doing is a whole nother area that I'm just starting to branch into in terms of
Nice.
like talking to people like yourself.
Nice. I'm glad that we was able to connect with one another, and I'm one of the first ones that you talked to.
I think it's really cool because I think today, a lot of people have to find a way to make their own businesses. And, given what the coronavirus is like, people being able to do something out of their own home,
Exactly.
being able to, I talked to some actors that are doing like one act plays out of small spaces.
Wow, just to keep in practice, man.
They
That's
keep going, musicians that are playing like online concerts from their home studios. Um, And so, like being a foodie from your own home kitchen, putting together these recipe hacks, that's a cool thing. And then you're working with local brands and national brands, and you're giving people like a good service because everybody's kind of home and they're trying to do their next sourdough bread recipe, and they probably want to say, "Well, I need something else because I'm sick of ordering pizza. I need to be able to figure out how to do something."
exactly. I can give you an example of just that, a real quick one. What you just said with pizza. Literally, I have a recipe on my Instagram page as we speak and on YouTube of me doing a breakfast pizza.
Oh,
Literally in a cast iron skillet.
well, that's cool.
And
Sounds interesting. I think I might try that.
exactly. And it's like instead of using marinara sauce, I use gravy as a sauce. And then cook your eggs, whatever kind of meat you want to put on it, and put the pizza dough in there. Wham bam. And pretty much it was a quick recipe. And the kids and the wife loved it. And it didn't take a whole lot. And you can customize it ad nauseum. So if
Yeah,
you're gluten
that,
free, if you want it to be vegetarian, if you just a straight carnivore and you just eat meat, you can put it on there too if you want to, and have fun with it. That's what I want to sort of infuse into people who look at my content to be able to say, yeah, you can do some awesome stuff. You don't necessarily have to be a big time chef to do it.
no, that's interesting. So as you've progressed with like figuring out how to do the camera shots and everything, the technical aspects of it. So like you had to get the boom, you had to figure out how to connect your phone to actually get it to YouTube, and how much time did you actually have to learn about presenting yourself to get on YouTube?
Um, it took a couple months. I would say about 2 months of me first off sort of getting over the whole hump of you're on camera
Mm-hmm.
and the camera sees everything. I mean, everything. So,
Well, learn how to use the camera.
yeah, learning how to use the camera, being in front of the camera, and getting used to, talking. And once you get used to it, it gets easier. But the main thing is that you're talking about something you love and something that you care about. Once you get over that nervousness about it, then the real you starts coming out. Now it's to the point of where I can jump in front of the camera right now and go. Let's go, Cornelius. Talk
Do
about
you,
whatever, and I'm fine with it because it's just a practice thing and getting over the nerves. Once you get past that point, you're good.
did you ever think you had to write a script? Like when you first started, did you script yourself, or did you always kind of, I'm just kind of gonna do it off the cuff? Did you?
Um, I don't script write. Main thing I do, I'm more of a visual creature.
Mhm.
I sort of plot stuff out, storyboarding in my
Oh,
head
storyboarded. Oh, okay.
of like, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to talk about, and sort of think of it as a storyboard with camera shots. Okay, I need a shot of me stirring the pot. I need a top down shot of me doing something. I need, um, and then basically going from shot to shot to shot. That way, I can sort of plot out in my head what I want to do before I get there. And then once I actually turn the camera on and start going, I go, might take a couple of takes, but at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, again, it's practice. More practice, the better you get.
So your programs on YouTube, are they like live, or do you actually put together a show and then upload it?
I put together a show and upload it. I cut it, edit, add different graphical elements to it, lower thirds, all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of those things, and then upload it to YouTube where I want to make it sort of a little bit more polished, um, almost like if you was watching a newscast, but
Mm-hmm.
it was food instead of news. That's basically what I'm sort of building it as. So I can have sidebars where I can talk to you about things. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm I don't care if I was just sitting there talking about cooking eggs. In the sidebar, I could say, you might want to add a teaspoon of milk to your eggs because that will make it a little bit more fluffy as you're cooking. Things of that nature, and be able to drop knowledge as I'm going through, showing you what I'm doing to give you more content, more things to look at, more things to see as you're going through one of my videos.
So that's interesting. So you said you actually work in TV, right?
Correct.
So does your work in TV kind of inform or help with how you produce your actual YouTube show? Or is it totally a different area, or is it somewhat related?
It all works together, honestly. The TV aspect of it helped me to realize, basically my mannerisms, how I carry myself on camera when I'm on camera, and thinking story from start to finish, telling somebody what I'm doing all the way through, but not being necessarily preachy. But then at the same time, realizing people who watching the videos, some people don't know how to cook at all. So if I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
to somebody who doesn't know how to cook, how would I want to be talked to? How would I want to be shown? Show me everything. Don't show me a piece and then come back, you know, and oh, voila, I'm done. I'm like, you just skipped like 4 steps. That's not helping me. I need to
It's
see
kind
you
of like
do it
that
all
old
of it.
Julia Childs. I remember watching her as a kid, and you always had that thing that was already made in the oven. She'd open the second oven; it's already done.
It's like, no, you didn't show me that. Yeah, exactly. For the second time, I've cooked one. Wait, hold on.
I was
So,
like, "Wow, she already had it." It's like, did she skip something?
did she skip something along the way? Mine doesn't look
Yeah,
like that. That's
yeah.
funny.
But yes, you said so in your write up. You said your grandmothers are your mentors, and then Justin Wilson from PBS.
Yes.
So,
Um,
what about Justin Wilson's work on PBS? Did you really like?
Justin Wilson's cooking, old Cajun guy, and his cooking just appealed to me when I was little because it looked really good. It looked hearty. I'm a southerner anyway, so for the most part, we
Mm-hmm.
eat heavy and we find a lot of cool things to cook. But his recipes like etouffees and cooking
Mm-hmm.
shrimp multiple different ways and things of that nature really appealed to me. And he entertained as he was cooking as well. He would tell stories and things of that nature. Before you know it, you feel like I would like to hang out with you. That's how I want to be with my videos, where you watch a video and be like, oh, I'm gonna hang out with Cornelius. That'd be cool to hang out and sit around and eat and talk about stuff. that's basically what I'm trying to do. And to me, it's not a hard thing to do because that's my heart. That's what I am. So it comes out. I mean, I can't make it do anything else but what it really is. So no fakeness here. That's what I am is what I am.
Well, I think it's really what's interesting about like Foodie and like Food Network and shows like what you're doing on YouTube and Instagram is it's entertainment, and you could be bringing in a whole audience that they aren't cooks, or they aren't people that would normally watch a cooking show, but they kind of key on your personality.
Exactly.
It's like typical in the YouTube kind of era, people will go watch the gamer YouTubers because of their personality. They're basically entertainers that happen to be like video game guys, but sometimes people watch them because of the way they're kind of like actors.
Exactly.
Maybe not kind of, but they are. They're entertainers, and so I think part of it is the entertaining aspect, and then what the topic you're working on, from cars to video games to whatever you're doing as a YouTuber, and you're doing with food. So do you feel like do you have to bring in some kind of entertainment or acting techniques into what you're doing, or you just kind of just feel that you've got the flow because you're passionate about what you do?
The main thing would be is, again, just being myself. Most of the time I'm just talking to you about what I'm doing and how I'm going about making what I'm making, and doing a particular thing where a lot of people who cook don't do, is telling you, hey, I tried this the first time, I totally botched it. But this is what I did to fix what I was doing to make it better. Or, hey, here's a pitfall with this cooking this cake. If it says, a fourth of a teaspoon of baking soda, and I just say, it'll be all right, and I'm just going to put a whole tablespoon in it, yeah, it's going to destroy your cake. Don't do that. That's something that I want to convey, to where people get comfortable with it. Take some of the nervousness out of cooking, because some people, again, are just really trying to learn how to cook, and they might see a recipe and they're just like, that's just too much. But you can do it, because there've been recipes that I've looked at and I'm like, I don't know about this, but I go and try it and work at it, and then a lot of times you surprise yourself, like, wow, that was really good, I gotta write that one down. So that's sort of how I want to convey myself, to help my audience be able to do what they need to do to cook, for not only for themselves but for their families as well.
How did you get your passion for cooking? Did you get it from your grandmother or your mother?
I got the passion for it definitely my grandmother's, my mom, and, like I said, Justin Wilson. Those are the nucleus of it all for me. Both of my grandmothers were insanely good cooks. My last grandparent, my mom's mom, she had passed away here recently. She lived to be 107, in her right mind, could tell you about stuff that happened in the 40s and the 50s up to the day she died. She cooked pound cakes like were just incredible from scratch. And I remember taking those cakes to school when I was in kindergarten. And kids like, oh, what's that? You got cake? Can I have a cake? Trying to trade. No, you can't. You can't have that.
Cake.
That's like trading. That's like having a jalopy and I got a Rolls Royce and I want to give you.
I'm not trading this for a Twinkie. No, I'm not doing that.
No, you're not getting
that. That's the real deal.
Exactly.
Yeah, my mother was she wasn't from the South exactly. She's from Morgantown, West Virginia.
Okay.
But they still had this, compared to the Northeast. I live in New England, in New Hampshire, and I would say New Englanders are kind of spice challenged.
Really?
Well, yeah. Everything is, when it comes to seafood and stuff, seafood's really good, with lobsters and chowders and things. But like if you go out, to your neck of the woods, or in the South, in Virginia and West Virginia, when I used to go in the summers, like I would notice the difference with the Southern cooking compared to what you'd get from the average Northeastern family. There was like, you get an apple pie and it would have like no brown sugar, no butter, no extra cinnamon, no nutmeg, nothing. It would kind of be very bland. It's like there was like just sugar and apples, and there's no tartness, there's no style to it. Then you're like, where's the flavor? you know, and it's like, yeah, my family, you know, we're African American, we're like, well, they're the spice challenge, you
It's like, what is this? It's like, what is this spice
know.
you
Yeah,
speak of? What do you mean? What?
well, because yeah, we're to have time where you just don't know how to flavor something. Like, do you ever taste it when you're cooking? You
You
know?
just like
So,
stir it up and just say, "Here, come eat." Like, did you even?
yeah, come eat it. It's like the idea of putting like flavor is like put salt in something.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's ground level cooking 101. Taste the
Yeah,
food.
it's okay.
Your tongue will pretty much
And
tell
maybe you
you
get
if it's too salty or not. Just trust yourself.
yeah, it's like that's the only spice you use.
But,
So yeah, we're gonna spice it like a tiny bit of pepper and maybe a little salt. Okay, that's it.
like, yeah,
So
a fourth of a teaspoon of salt for 20 gallons of soup. It'll be great. It's like, no, it won't.
that's gonna taste great.
That's gonna taste horrible. But anyway,
Yeah. So it's interesting that you're gaining traction and you're so on Instagram. Do you have like a version of your show using like the Instagram like video capability, or you do clips from your YouTube channel?
when I do videos, I usually upload to Instagram with everything, and then I upload to YouTube as well. Facebook sort of gets thrown into the mix when I post on Instagram because there's an option there for it to post
Oh, the
to
link.
post to
Yeah, the link.
Facebook as well. So basically, I do them all basically all together. For a while there, I was literally doing all my Instagram videos on my iPhone, like all of it, editing, shooting it,
Mm-hmm.
all of it on my phone. Here recently, I've gone more into using my laptop with some more different editors and things that I use. But if push comes to shove, I can spit out a video on my phone. So
Yeah, well, we're talking on my phone right now. It's one of these apps. It's kind of opened up the whole world. It's like, you know, I actually use my phone to do live performances on a tripod for my home studio.
nice.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things you can do. I mean, I'm moving up to some more video equipment, like video editing thing machines from like Roland video mixers where you can take like 4 cameras and then mix them and stuff like that. Because
Ah,
like as a musician, you can't do live shows anymore. So where we would spend money on a U-Haul or a truck to get to a gig, well, I'm not doing a gig for a while.
uh-huh.
So maybe I'll invest in an actual video switcher machine and some better webcams and more tripods and then have multiple camera shots. You
Exactly.
know, so like a lot of what I'm working on now is building multiple camera shot live shows. So I totally get what you're doing on YouTube because musicians we're all trying to do the YouTube thing, but more for like performance.
Got you. And the cool thing about it is, again, you can build it how you seem, best to you, which is something that's awesome because I know there have been times where you're thinking, if I could just do this myself, this is how I would do it. And be
Yeah.
able to take that knowledge of what you do and parlay it into something that you can just walk into your house in a room and be like, hey, let's go. And we can do what we want to do and be done and out the way. Same thing I do in the kitchen. Hey, guess what I'm about to do? Wash my dishes, push my stuff to the side, set my camera up, turn on my lights. I'm about to do a video because this is what I've already planned I'm going to do. Let's go. And then go and do
But
it.
it's like whereas the new normal in terms of creativity is like because of these powerful phones that are really good cameras and the fact that you can take your internet, you know, and maybe get a web camera, get a little higher end stuff. But the fact is like technology that 10, 15 years ago, you had to do it in a TV studio.
Exactly.
You couldn't be a band and do a live show and stream it all over the world without being in a studio. I mean, you probably couldn't do a food show either without being in a studio because you couldn't get access to a camera that could actually be good enough to do it.
Exactly.
So I think it's opened up for a lot of creative people to say, "Hey, I'm going to go and create my own business and actually get out there and be successful." There's so many success stories of YouTubers and Instagrammers and all kinds of web personalities, especially where you are in the foodie areas. I mean, I started investigating and say, "Wow, there's a lot going on here." you know, I'm a musician, like I said. It's like I primarily stay in that zone, but then like, wow, my daughter's kind of really into foodies, and she's like, wow, yeah, there's a cool. You're gonna start interviewing foodies now. I said, oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah, we're a good wholesome bunch. We like what we like, and we willing to try different stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And for me, what's even more exciting is when you get a chance to go out there and meet people and talk to them. You hear the same passion you got. You hear it coming out of them, and they'll tell you, well, yeah, this is what I did, and this is how I made this, or yes, this is our fruit orchard we had for years, and yeah, sure, take some of this. We can do a trade, can we? Yeah, we can do that. Let's go. And it's so much fun. We got a event here coming up in about 2 weeks for another business that my brother has called Bird and Nature Tours. And I'm going to be doing a little side job with him where I'm going to make fried apple pies out of apples and out of pears and parlay that into advertising for myself, showing off my videos, showing off what I do, things of that nature.
That's interesting. So you're starting to do more collabs and work with other
Way you can
people.
build an
So
army
is
of
that going to
foodies.
start branching? Yeah, is that going to branch out outside your home where you might go out and do? Because of COVID, I don't know what you could
Yeah,
do outside. But
COVID has thrown everything
was
off
the
kilter.
plan to? Was their original plan before COVID that you would go to a food truck and do a review, or go to a restaurant and do a review, or you were gonna like, oh, I'm always gonna do the food hack and do it kind of
Both.
like a
It
recipes?
always it always
Both.
was in my mind to do it. I mean, I could do it now. I mean, it's just social distancing and keep myself off to the side a
Yeah,
little bit, but that doesn't change anything.
doesn't
No,
stop you.
no, not really. Actually, it makes it somewhat a little bit easier because you can sort of get in, get what you need, talk to them, show
Mm-hmm.
food off, and you can still get the same effect, and people can still come and um, patronize these businesses and be good. So it's just in a different form.
That's
That's
cool.
all.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like the new normal. People have to, human beings have to adapt. And for the first beginning of this thing, everybody's like, well, you got to be locked down. And then people start realizing, you know, that you can do other things. Like bands started realizing you can actually do drive-in theaters to do concerts and have people stay in their cars. And, you know, in California and places, they're actually getting bands to do stuff like that so they can actually still do shows
Nice.
because they get people to be socially distant in their cars, and it's like repurpose a drive-in and turn it into a like a music venue. So people are starting to get creative, and so I think human beings will always take the adversity and figure out a way to get around it.
Exactly.
So that's cool. So you're working on collabs. You're trying to push your network. You're building up like a lot of different people. You're actually building up a network of what you could say is you know, different people build collectives. Like in music industry, there are bands that will tie together and like have a hip hop collective. Do you guys have Foodie collective?
That is one thing that I want to make. The main thing right now for me is again collaborating and growing myself to when I get to a point of where I can do more. But at the same time, you don't let that be the necessary thing that drives you because with Buzzy Wax and Snap Pack and stuff, those collaborations came about and I was sitting at like 300 something subscribers on Instagram and they found me. So
Mm-hmm.
it's the numbers are good, but at the same time, it's not everything. But the numbers do help you to be able to go up to some bigger businesses and sort of show, hey, I have these many subscribers. They're not just here because, you know, a viral thing. They're here because they want to hang out with me. So if I come to my uh, people with a product or I'm talking about a food truck or whatever, they believe what I'm telling you that Cornelius is not going to tell me this restaurant is good and this crap, and I'm not because
Yeah, yeah.
that's hitting on my integrity as a foodie that I'm not going to steer you wrong. So I might have somebody who I'm working with. Their food might be all right, but I'm not going to trash them. But if your food is really good, I'll scream it to the heavens. This restaurant is incredible. You all need to come here now. That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps
Yeah,
everybody
whereas I
out.
think if you're an influence market, if you're into influencing, you have to have that credibility that like you don't want to be just taking every pitch that everybody sends you and just looking at it from the dollar perspective. You got to like believe in it.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that's as a podcaster, we get opportunities to be influencers, and so we get all these people coming together, sending us products out of the woodwork, and you're like, well, this one's not really hitting it.
He's like, yeah, I can't really say.
So I'm not going to pitch this to my audience because it's like this isn't working. That's not going to take everything they send me. I'm not going to like, okay, no, I don't think so. This one don't work, so I'm not doing it.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's cool that you're into this new normal where people can work from home and they were able to be successful with what they love to do. I think the passion that's really cool. That when I talk to creative people in any endeavor on my podcast, you always feel the passion that people have about what they're doing. And I think that's what gets me excited as a podcaster when I talk to somebody is about why they do what they do. So how do you feel about the future or what you're doing? Do you feel you're going to be able to really do this as like a primary thing that you do in your work?
The main thing is that you shoot for the stars always. Shoot as far off as you can go. If I happen to land anywhere in between, that's great. But we go at it full bore. So just working to, grow myself, to be able to learn more. Got photography books that I'm reading right now, learning my editor more. It's all about trying to strengthen yourself to get yourself to be the best you can be. And again, when you being yourself, nobody has to tell you how to be you. I don't need to ask you, how do you be Cornelius? I know me. I live with me. So
Yeah.
if I do that and I convey myself, nobody can be me. Not Guy Fieri, not Alton Brown, not nobody. I'm me. So I bring a whole new thing to the mix that they can't. That's what I wanted to convey to
I think
them,
that
to my viewership, is that you can do the exact same thing.
I think there's like a parallel in the music industry. There's a lot of people get into music, and it's like, do they have like an authentic self? Are they the next like James Brown, or the next Prince, next Beyonce? And then you got people that kind of clone people, right? And then it's always, to me, it's like the originators, like a guy like a
Yes.
James Brown, a Stevie Wonder. You know that's the talent, right? And then you have people kind of in the zone, but maybe not really there, and you're like, okay, but it's like, do you have the heart in it? Because when you see somebody's like a pure musician, it's like that's because that's their living,
it's what they are.
like a Prince. Yeah, Prince. I mean, he was the purest form of a musician since like James Brown. He's like, that's what he was. He's like, that's all he did. And so when you can be that, you don't have to be like a lot of artists. Like, how many people will try to clone Beyonce or try to clone some other star, and it's like, where's your authentic self? So I think that's really cool that when you talk about your authentic self, that's kind of like really your brand is you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's I had thought about it like that. That is true. Your brand is you. You was born with your brand. The question is taking your brand and being able to put it in a position to be seen, to be heard, to be looked at, to be considered. Now it's like, wow, this person was like this the whole time. Yep, they just needed an avenue to show themselves off. And from that point, you can skyrocket off into all kinds of different things.
Yeah, I think it's like, I think as artists, people have to believe in themselves as creators, and some people, like, sometimes there's some self doubts here and there. But I think a lot of times when you get into the art or the creative power that you're into, right, it just becomes like you get in that zone. Like when you start doing your show, you've kind of talked to me about, like, I just kind of, I'm on myself, and I just can do it. And musicians will kind of tell you, like when they're on stage, they kind of just fall into it, and they're not overthinking. They're not thinking about the next couple of bars. They just know it, right? They just feel it, and I think it seems like the same thing with you. Like what you love, and you just express it, and it's not hard for you.
Exactly. You made me think about. I watched a interview on YouTube where a guy was interviewing BB King, and they was playing chords and stuff on his guitar, and he was like, "Okay, when you do this, what do you do?" And he literally stopped. He was like, "Huh, let me think about what I do." And I'm looking at him like one of the greatest blues guitarists of all time. Literally doesn't know exactly what his fingers are doing when he's playing. I was like, what?
Yeah,
How do you, he just feels it. When he
yeah,
closes his eyes and his mouth will move, and it's like he's feeling it out. It's like, what are you feeling in yourself where you're doing this and translating it, and you watch his hands, and this is like, oh my gosh, what are you? That's what we're trying to get as entertainers, as creators, where you can watch a video of mine, or we can listen to music of yours and be like, what is he? He just does that naturally. He just makes me feel like he's just doing this, off the top of his head, but you worked at it. But that's the art form.
yeah. I think what happens as an artist, right? Musicians, they spend years and years building that muscle memory, like an athlete. They can sit there and hit the jump shot, hit the 3-pointer, right? We it's all the years that you put into it, and then it becomes feel. And like with a black artist, we'll say that, well, that's the blues, that's the soul, that's the jazz. You talk to a jazz artist like a Coltrane, I mean, he just felt that. I mean, he had the technical capability. You get a guy like Davis or Coltrane, but they once they had that skill set, they could just go anywhere, and it really felt like it depends on what they felt like in that night, or where their heads at, and it's going to be about more like heart and soul and expression. And some people don't get that. They want to get really technical and say, well, why are you doing it? Like, well, when it's art, it's kind of hard to describe that.
Exactly. It's hard to describe it, but that's what makes it good, when you can just feel it and see it or hear it, and then you can walk away from that experience and you just be like, you know what, that was worth every that was worth every just
Yeah, I think
to
that
see
people
that.
want to see like an actor or an entertainer. They want to feel like they're having a good time. Like if you look at an entertainer and it doesn't look like they're happy doing what they're doing, then the audience isn't going to really get the vibe of that either, unless you're trying to be an actor playing like an odd role where you're playing that on purpose. But like it seems like if you've got that excitement as an entertainer, as a YouTuber, and I think your audience will feel it from you. And the energy, it's like an energy thing. And if you've got that energy, then the people are going to come to you because you're making them feel good.
Exactly.
So yeah, you had this motto. You say, we do what we do for the love of food. And I think, that's what you believe in. So that's why you're doing what you're
Yeah,
doing.
it's got to come from your heart, and it has to be something that you're passionate about, that you can be like, you know what, that was good. It's again, almost like you had said with music, you can walk away from doing a show or listen to somebody play, and you can walk away from be like, you know what, that was good. Or you can walk away from a really good meal, and you building memories. You remember that meal. I know there have been times in your life where your parents or your grandmother or grandfather cooked or made something for you. You can about smell it and taste it right now. It's been years. That stuff gets
Yeah.
filed away, and those things are really, really good memories that to hold on to in all kinds of different times. In the times we're in now, where everything is seemingly on his head, it's something to be able to
Mm-hmm.
think about and be like, man, you remember that? Yeah, man, that was good.
Yeah, the Christmas dinner, like when my mom, she's a really great cook, and she would do all this really elaborate stuff for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. And she had all these, like, her own recipes that everybody in the family would be like, they're coming back to the home, and my two brothers, we'd all come back from where Texas or come back from New Hampshire or come back from Florida. And we're all like just dreaming about what she made us when we were 12 and 14. Right. And now we're like in our 50s and we're like still dreaming about those standard meals that she made. And we're still like salivating. We're like, wow. And she's making that pecan pie. And like, yeah, I'm getting half of it.
We're going to fight it. We're going to fight over this pie before this night is over with. He's like, no, I got to get at least half of it. Exactly.
Yeah. My older brother, my mom used to say, well, I got to make 2 of them because your older brother, Kevin's going to take half of it.
Exactly. And when you were saying, was talking, telling that story, it makes me think about something that I just did here recently. I went home to go visit my mom and dad, and I literally asked my mom, hey, show me how you make that sour cream pound cake of yours. I'm sworn to secrecy. I can't share the whole thing because she don't want to, to get out. But I at least wanted to show my audience of, watch this cake with all these different steps to it, but it's so good. And you get done with it, and you're like, looking back on it, that's something I did with my mom, showing me how to do this. So from this point forward, what may, I can look back on that memory and be like, she showed me a recipe that she don't want to get out, but she trusts me enough to show me all the stuff that goes into it, and everything was good. So again, that's sort of what I want to build with my audience, to be able to share recipes and talk to them about what they're doing, doing live sit-ins on Instagram and literally asking them, hey, how was y'all day? Or what have you all been going out to eat? Or have you been going out to eat at all since this COVID stuff happened? How have y'all been coping? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's just awesome that you think, food is an art. Cooking is an art. It's like any other art form, and I think people get the muscle memory, or the food memory. Like musicians have muscle memory from the songs they play, and then they can get a feeling that recalls something they did in '72, something they did in '84. They just remember, right? Because they did this something that was a really core performance. And people remember the taste, of great food. That'll keep them coming back to it. And people remember those sounds. It's like there's this kind of this, like, it's a great memory, regardless. And I think that's what people are always, I think, looking for things that will make them feel good. And food is like the classic feel good.
Exactly. I've called it comfort food for anything. It's like, how's that comforting? I'm telling you, it's like, get a blanket and curl up, and you got a bowl of ice cream with some toppings on it, and you're like, I'm good. What's going on tomorrow? Really don't care. I'm gonna sit here and eat this ice cream, and I'm good.
Yeah, it's like I'll make some classic like butter cookies that my mother makes for the holidays, and she actually, out of my other 2 brothers, I was the only one that would sit down and learn how to do it.
You're wise.
It was it was very elaborate, and my other brothers didn't have the patience. They're like, "Why, I gotta do that? I gotta do that. Why can't I just throw it together?" They just walk away. It's like, well, that's too much work. And I was like, I like the steps, so I get it. I do a lot of cooking myself, and I like to bake, like pies and cookies, and get the butter crust just right on an apple pie. Get it, and it's the steps my mother showed me when I was like 10 or 12, and I was willing to sit there, and it was the patience of actually realizing that it was I realized it was an art form, because I was a musician back then, and I kind of appreciated it in the same way my music teachers would teach me stuff. And I was like, well, this is really like elaborate. I kind of was able to relate it to what I was doing with music. And I said, well, yeah, as a musician, there's certain things you have to do to learn a song. You have to understand the feeling. You have to understand what's the movement or what's going on. And cooking, to me, felt the same way.
Exactly.
So it's great to have you on, Cornelius. And everybody should go out to the links that we're going to put on this podcast. We're going to put your Instagram link and your YouTube link to your YouTube. Subscribe so people can subscribe to your YouTube channel. And we're actually on 11 podcast platforms, including Spotify podcast, Apple podcast, Radio Public, many, many more. We will, on our Instagram channel, do a story that ties this to the Spotify version of
Okay.
the podcast. And because of the integration with Instagram, people, if they click the highlight that we put up, it will go right to the Spotify podcast version of this interview. So we'll push that on our channels, and you can always link a story on your channel as well. That will do the same thing. And then we'll publish within the next hour. It takes a little while for this to get put together. But it'll go out. We'll send you the top 3 links, the Apple link, the Anchor link, and the Spotify.
And I'll like to post it on my stuff and get it out there as well. If there's anything else that I can do to help out or be a guest again or bounce an idea off of, I'm here.
That's great. There's no problem, Dick. Yeah, we have our musician friends come on multiple times when they have new projects. So if you've got some big project or something you want to push, like a new spin on your show, we can have you come on.
I'm glad you said that, because there's a particular thing that's coming down the pipe that's going to be big. So when I do get that up and rolling, I'll definitely get back in touch with you and let you know.
Okay, great. Thank you for being on the show. Have a great Friday night, and we'll get this out there. We'll let you know when it's ready.
Appreciate it, man.
Okay, thank you.
You too, man. Bye.
Night.